How did the earliest Greek thinkers revolutionize our understanding of the universe? Which ancient philosophy can best improve your life today? How did philosophy survive the Dark Ages? Let's explore all these questions and much more in this video. Most people think that philosophy starts with Socrates, but no, there is pre-Socratic philosophy. Pre-Socratic philosophy, the earliest period of ancient Greek philosophical thought, spanned until approximately the mid-4th century BCE. Understanding pre-Socratic ideas poses a challenge due to the fragmentary nature of surviving texts, often requiring indirect study through quotations found in later works. A pivotal aspect of pre-Socratic philosophy was its departure from traditional Greek mythology, which predominantly offered theological interpretations of the cosmos, featuring various gods and goddesses. Instead, pre-Socratic thinkers sought rational explanations for the universe's functioning. They aimed to provide empirical theories on the origins and workings of the world. Thales, considered one of the earliest philosophers, proposed the concept of a fundamental principle, or arche, positing water as the primal source of all things. Anaximander offered a more abstract notion, suggesting an eternal substance beyond human perception, which he termed the apeiron, meaning the boundless. Heraclitus introduced the idea of constant flux, famously stating that one cannot step into the same river twice, emphasizing the role of logos as an ordering principle in both the self and the world. Parmenides, however, argued for an unchanging, eternal reality, dismissing the notion of flux. His student, Zeno of Elea, presented paradoxes to support this view, including the famous example of Achilles and the tortoise, questioning the possibility of motion. Democritus proposed atomism, asserting that reality consists of indivisible particles called atoms. Other notable pre-Socratic philosophers include Anaximenes, Pythagoras, Xenophanes, Empedocles, Anaxagoras, Leucippus, as well as the sophists like Protagoras and Gorgias. Socrates and Plato, influential figures in ancient philosophy, expanded upon the groundwork laid by the pre-Socratics, while also altering the philosophical landscape. Socrates, although he left no written records of his own, profoundly influenced his contemporaries through his method of philosophical inquiry, famously conducted in the form of dialogues. These dialogues often began with simple questions, aiming to delve into various topics and critically examine underlying assumptions. Unlike the pre-Socratics, Socrates focused less on metaphysical speculation and more on moral philosophy, particularly exploring the concept of leading a virtuous life, discussing virtues such as justice, courage, and wisdom. He encouraged his interlocutors to think independently and recognize their own ignorance. Most of what is known about Socrates comes from the writings of his disciple Plato. Plato's dialogues, featuring conversations between philosophers, make it challenging to discern his personal doctrines. However, Plato articulated the theory of forms, positing that true reality resides in abstract and eternal forms or ideas, such as beauty and justice, while the physical world is an imperfect reflection of these forms. This theory profoundly influenced subsequent metaphysical and epistemological thought. Plato also made contributions to psychology, dividing the soul into 3 faculties and exploring their interactions. As well as delving into ethics and political philosophy, he established the academy, considered one of the earliest institutions of higher education. Aristotle, initially a student at Plato's academy, approached philosophy systematically. His teachings, recorded in treatises covering various subjects, introduced numerous technical terms still in use today. While Aristotle accepted Plato's distinction between form and matter, he diverged by rejecting the notion of forms existing independently, instead proposing their interdependence with matter. This concept sparked discussions among later philosophers regarding universals. In metaphysics, Aristotle outlined categories of being and introduced the concept of the 4 causes to explain natural phenomena. His ethical theory emphasized the cultivation of virtues for human flourishing, while in logic, he formulated rules for valid inference. After Aristotle, ancient philosophy witnessed the emergence of broader philosophical movements known as the Hellenistic schools, which include Epicureanism, Stoicism, and Skepticism. These schools delved into various fields such as ethics, physics, logic, and epistemology. The Hellenistic period began after the death of Alexander the Great in 323 BCE and exerted its influence until the end of the Roman Republic in 31 BCE. Epicureanism, building upon Democritus's atomistic theory, emphasized pleasure as the highest good but advocated for a nuanced form of hedonism. prioritizing tranquility over indulgence in sensory pleasures. In contrast, Stoicism rejected hedonism and aimed to live in accordance with reason and virtue, viewing desires and aversions as hindrances to this goal. Stoics advocated for self-mastery and indifference towards external circumstances. Skeptics explored the impact of judgments and opinions on well-being, asserting that dogmatic beliefs cause emotional disturbances. They advocated for suspending judgment, particularly in matters where certainty is elusive. The later phase of ancient philosophy saw the rise of Neoplatonism, which inherited and transformed ideas from Plato and Aristotle. Neoplatonism posited a transcendent entity, the one or the good, as the source of all existence, with the intellect emanating from it. Plotinus and his student Porphyry were influential figures in this school of thought. The medieval period marked a shift towards religious thought, particularly in the Western world. The Christian Emperor Justinian's actions led to the closure of philosophical schools like Plato's Academy, consolidating intellectual activity within the church. Scholars grappled with topics such as the problem of universals, the nature of God, and the relationship between reason and faith. Augustine of Hippo, influenced by Platonism, addressed key Christian doctrines from a philosophical perspective, tackling issues like the problem of evil and arguing for the existence of God. Boethius bridged Greek philosophy with Christian doctrine, integrating and reconciling ideas from Plato and Aristotle. He explored concepts such as the problem of universals and the nature of the Trinity. Scholasticism dominated the later medieval period, heavily influenced by Aristotelian philosophy. Scholars like Anselm of Canterbury emphasized the harmony between reason and faith, while Thomas Aquinas developed a comprehensive system of scholastic philosophy, integrating metaphysics, theology, ethics, and political theory. Aquinas sought to demonstrate the compatibility between reason and Christian beliefs, addressing topics such as the existence of God and moral principles. Duns Scotus and William of Ockham contributed to metaphysical debates, with Scotus rejecting the real distinction between essence and existence, and Ockham introducing the principle of Occam's razor, advocating for nominalism over realism. The Renaissance period, characterized by a renewed interest in ancient Greek philosophy and the emergence of humanism, witnessed various philosophical developments. Marsilio Ficino and others revived Plato's teachings within a Christian framework, while humanism emphasized the value of human-centered studies and individualism. Niccolò Machiavelli and Thomas More offered contrasting political outlooks, with Machiavelli advocating for pragmatic governance and More envisioning an ideal society based on communal ownership. The Renaissance also saw advancements in the philosophy of nature and science, with figures like Francis Bacon emphasizing empirical observation and mathematical explanations in scientific inquiry. Galileo Galilei played a pivotal role in the Copernican revolution, challenging the geocentric model of the universe. Ancient philosophy blossomed into an array of diverse schools of thought, each offering unique perspectives on existence, knowledge, and ethics. In the Hellenistic era, Epicureanism, Stoicism, and skepticism emerged as prominent philosophical movements. Epicureans championed a simple life focused on tranquility, while Stoics advocated for self-mastery and indifference to desires. Skeptics urged suspending judgment, positing that certainty in beliefs could disrupt emotional balance. Neoplatonism, a later development, emphasized a transcendent one as the source of existence. Medieval philosophy, heavily influenced by religious thought, saw figures like Augustine of Hippo and Boethius blending Plato's and Aristotle's ideas with Christian doctrine. Scholasticism dominated the later medieval period, with thinkers like Thomas Aquinas synthesizing Aristotelianism and Christian theology. Anselm of Canterbury, Peter Abelard, and Duns Scotus contributed to scholastic thought, exploring metaphysical questions and reconciling faith and reason. The Renaissance marked a revival of ancient Greek philosophy, particularly Platonism, alongside the emergence of humanism. Figures like Machiavelli and Thomas More explored political philosophy, while Bacon and Galileo laid the groundwork for modern scientific inquiry. Early modern philosophy witnessed the rise of empiricism and rationalism. Empiricists like Locke and Berkeley emphasized sensory experience as the foundation of knowledge, while rationalists like Descartes and Spinoza prioritized reason and innate ideas. The Enlightenment challenged traditional authority, promoting individual freedom and progress. Kant synthesized empiricism and rationalism, critiquing dogmatism and advocating for universal moral duties. In the 19th century, German idealism, historicism, and neo-Kantianism flourished. Hegel proposed a dialectical view of history, while Marx applied dialectical materialism to social analysis. Schopenhauer and Nietzsche explored themes of will and power, influencing existentialism. Utilitarianism, championed by Bentham and Mill, and pragmatism, developed by Peirce and James, addressed ethical and epistemological concerns. The 20th century saw the rise of analytic and continental philosophy. Analytic philosophers like Moore, Frege, and Wittgenstein focused on clarity and logical analysis. Logical positivism emphasized empirical verification, while ordinary language philosophy examined everyday speech. Continental philosophers like Husserl and Heidegger explored phenomenology and existentialism, while critical theorists like Adorno and Marcuse critiqued societal norms and ideologies. Postmodernism, represented by Foucault, Derrida, and Deleuze, challenged traditional concepts of truth and knowledge, highlighting the influence of power and language. Which philosophical school of thought resonates most with you, and why? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more enlightening content. See you in the next video.